How much do you think Americans owe in student loan debt? Would you believe it if we told you it exceeds a staggering $1.7 trillion? Yes, you heard that right. $1.7 trillion. To put that into perspective, student loan debt surpasses all other forms of consumer debt in the United States, including credit card debt and auto loans. This means that collectively we owe more money on student loans than we do on our credit cards or our cars. Now you might be wondering, how did we get here? Well, one of the main culprits is the skyrocketing cost of education. Over the past few decades, the price tag on a college degree has surged, outpacing both inflation and wage growth. This means that while the cost of education has ballooned, our ability to pay for it hasn't kept up. To make matters worse, the recent surge in inflation has further strained borrowers' ability to pay back their loans. With inflation currently standing at 8.2%, the purchasing power of our dollars is being eroded, making it even more difficult for borrowers to keep up with their student loan payments. And let's not forget, student loans are a unique type of debt. Unlike other forms of debt, they're rarely dischargeable in bankruptcy. This means that unless you're lucky enough to qualify for some form of forgiveness, you're stuck with them until they're paid off. So, what does this mean for the millions of Americans grappling with student loan debt? Are they destined to spend their lives paying it off? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the student loan crisis and explore the potential paths to alleviating this daunting burden. Imagine a pause button for your student loan debt. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it's not. With the onslaught of the pandemic, the Biden administration decided to hit the pause button on federal student loan payments, a move that has provided much-needed relief for borrowers across the nation. This pause, however, has not been without its share of controversies. It's been extended 8 times since March 2020, and each extension has faced its fair share of criticism. The most recent being a lawsuit filed by the New Civil Liberties Alliance on behalf of the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. This is the second such lawsuit, following a similar one by private lender SoFi. The plaintiffs argue that the Department of Education has unlawfully extended the pause, asserting it harms nonprofit employers and undermines the incentive for borrowers to work for a nonprofit. Despite these challenges, the Department of Education maintains that the pause, along with a proposed debt cancellation plan, is within its legal rights. The outcome of these lawsuits will have a significant impact on the future of the pause. The restart of federal student loan payments is tied to the litigation over the forgiveness program. Payments are set to resume 60 days after the Supreme Court's ruling, expected in late June or early July. But here's a silver lining. Biden's proposed forgiveness program could cancel up to $20,000 for qualifying borrowers. This could potentially take the edge off the financial burden for many. So, while the pause button has provided a temporary respite for many borrowers, the future of this pause is uncertain and hangs in the balance of these lawsuits. So the big question remains, will the pause be extended again, or are borrowers looking at the resumption of payments soon? What if there was a path to forgiveness for your student loan debt? Well, for some borrowers, there is. The Department of Education is making strides to alleviate the burden of student loan debt for millions of borrowers. One of the significant changes they've made is to the Income-Driven Repayment Program, also known as the IDR. This program allows borrowers to make monthly payments based on their income and family size. After a certain period of repayment, the remaining loan balance is forgiven. The Department of Education has recognized that some loan servicers have provided inaccurate information to borrowers, causing them to opt for forbearance rather than enrolling in an IDR plan. To rectify this, they are conducting a one-time account adjustment and increasing oversight of loan servicers' use of forbearance. But that's not all. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, or PSLF, is also undergoing changes. This program forgives the remaining balance of student loans for borrowers who have made 120 qualifying payments while working full-time for a qualifying employer, typically a government or nonprofit organization. The Department of Education has found that some borrowers were misinformed about their eligibility for this program, and as a result, they are implementing changes to expand its accessibility. They are also undertaking a one-time revision of IDR payments and reforming the payment tracking system to ensure that eligible borrowers get the forgiveness they deserve. These changes are expected to bring over 3.6 million borrowers closer to loan forgiveness. 40,000 borrowers are even slated to receive immediate forgiveness through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Of course, these changes won't affect all borrowers, and they certainly won't erase the student loan crisis overnight, but they do represent a significant step in the right direction, providing hope for millions of borrowers who have been struggling under the weight of their student loan debt. So, could these changes signal a shift towards a more forgiving approach to student loan debt? Only time will tell. So where does this leave us? What does the future hold for the student loan debt crisis in America? As we peer into the crystal ball of the future, several things stand out. The most immediate is the ongoing legal challenge to the pause on student loan payments. This pause, extended multiple times since March 2020, has been a lifeline for many during the pandemic. However, the lawsuit argues that the Department of Education unlawfully extended the pause, and it's causing harm to nonprofit employers and reducing the incentive for borrowers to work for a nonprofit. The outcome of this case could have significant implications for the future of student loan debt. Then there's the proposed debt cancellation plan. This plan, if enacted, could wipe out up to $20,000 of debt for qualifying borrowers. It's a bold move, one that could dramatically alter the landscape of student loan debt. But it's not without controversy. Critics argue that it's unfair to those who've already paid off their loans and that it could encourage future students to take on debt recklessly. Nevertheless, the plan represents a potential seismic shift in how we approach student debt. But the future of student loan debt isn't just about lawsuits and policy changes, it's also about the broader economic context. With inflation currently at a high level, the real value of student debt is increasing. This could make it even harder for borrowers to pay off their loans, especially as the cost of living continues to rise. There's also the question of how future changes to federal income tax brackets and other provisions resulting from inflation adjustments might affect student loan borrowers. Lower tax rates and potentially higher deductions could provide some relief, but it's still unclear how much of an impact this will have. So what's the bottom line? The future of student loan debt in America is uncertain. It will be shaped by legal battles, policy decisions, and economic trends. But amidst this uncertainty, one thing is clear. This is a crisis that can't be ignored. The question isn't if we should do something about the student loan debt crisis, but what and how. While the future of student loan debt in America remains uncertain, one thing is clear: this is a crisis that can't be ignored. So, we've taken a deep dive into the student loan debt crisis in America. But what does this mean for you, the borrower? Firstly, it's clear that the student loan crisis is a pressing issue, with millions of Americans feeling the weight of this debt on their shoulders. We've seen the pause on student loan payments, a measure that's been extended multiple times since the onset of the pandemic. It's a relief for many, but also a subject of debate and legal challenge, adding a layer of uncertainty to an already complex situation. Then there's the encouraging path to loan forgiveness. Changes in the federal system are bringing millions closer to debt relief, with some already experiencing immediate forgiveness. It's a glimmer of hope in an otherwise daunting landscape, but it's crucial to understand the specifics and potential limitations of these programs. Looking to the future, it's evident that the student loan debt issue is not going away anytime soon. Yet there are policies and proposals in play that could significantly alter its course. With potential adjustments to tax brackets and retirement plans due to inflation, and the proposed debt cancellation plan, the future could hold some relief for those burdened by student loans. In this rapidly evolving landscape, staying informed becomes pivotal. Policies change, legal battles ensue, and new relief programs are introduced. It's essential to keep up with these developments and understand how they might affect your personal situation. Don't hesitate to seek advice and support when managing your student loan debt. There are resources available to help you navigate these waters. Remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay empowered, and keep pushing for a future free from the burden of student loan debt.